doing? It is Monday and it is our Black Story Time reading. Yes, have another wonderful book and it is a true story. And when I read it, it blew my mind. I went on the internet and I started searching. I was like, oh man, look. Oh my goodness. So make sure, I'm hoping your families are here so you all can talk about it. Listen to the young people, see what they say. Young people listen to the older people. Just collaborate and just share your ideals and your thoughts and oh, what a wonderful time when family can do this, okay? So let's get started. Don't want to waste no more time, but here is our book for this Monday. It is A Ride to Remember. A Ride to Remember is a civil rights story, okay? And it is written by Sharon Langley and Amy Nathan, and the pictures are by Floyd Cooper. A Ride to Remember. I love curl sales. The horses come in so many colors: black, white, brown, gray, a honey shade of tan, sunny yellow, fire engine red, or even a soft baby blue. But no matter their colors, the horses all go all the same speed as they circle around and around. They start together, they finish together too. Nobody is first, nobody is last. Everyone is equal when you ride a carousel. When I was a very little girl, my father lived in Baltimore. Near our house was an amusement park. It was green and grassy, big and beautiful, bright and shiny. There were rides and games, treats and cold soda at Gwen Oak Amusement Park, and a carousel too. But before I was born, there were no rides or sweets at that park for children like me. Was it because kids didn't have money to buy tickets? I asked Mama. No, it wasn't about money, said Mama. That wasn't the problem either, said Daddy. Oh, or was it because they lived too far away from the park? I asked. That wasn't the problem either, said Daddy. Then why? I wondered aloud. It was because of an unfair rule the park had, Daddy explained. The rule said that African Americans couldn't go on any of the rides. Could we go there to have a picnic or fly a kite? I asked. No, we couldn't have. No, we couldn't have, said Mama. We wouldn't have been welcome there, said Daddy. That's terrible, I said. Yes, it was, Mama said. It was segregation, keeping people apart because of their race, treating people differently because of their color of their skin, Daddy added. What about the golden rule? I asked. What about treating other people the way you want to be treated? I guess some people forget that golden rule. That golden rule is supposed to be included. Everyone, said Mama. For a long time, black and white kids couldn't do many things together. They couldn't go to the same schools are to the same restaurants and libraries or even sit together at the movies. It was the law. Why didn't somebody do something about those kind of laws? I asked. They did, said Mama. We did, said Daddy. Many people, both blacks and whites, knew that segregation was unfair and just plain wrong. Some people said, just wait, time will change. But others said, why wait? What's wrong with now? They held protests at restaurant stores and movie theaters. They tried to get officers and courts to make new laws to create a better city, a place that would welcome and include all people. And by the time I was born, some unfair law had changed in Baltimore. Kids could go to the same schools and libraries, restaurants, and some movie theaters too, no matter the color of your skin. But the amusement park just wouldn't budge, said Daddy. People who were fed up with segregation made plans to hold a huge protest at the amusement park. They spread the word to churches, synagogues, schools, and other places in the community so that many people could take part in the protest. They invited news, they invented they they invited newspapers and television stations to report on the protests. They told the police chief about their plans so the police could keep the peace. Best of all, they picked a perfect summer day for the big event, a day when people celebrated what best about America, said Mama. What day do you think they chose? The 4th of July, I said. That's right, a day that stands for freedom, said Mama. Did you have fireworks? I asked. They had something even better. Hundreds of people, black and white, young and old, students, teachers, priests, ministers, and rabbis, all came together on 4th of July 1963 to take part in one of the biggest protests the city ever had, said Daddy. They believed in the golden rule that being fair is the right thing to do, said Mama. First, the protesters went to church to pray, sang freedom songs, and get ready. They spent the morning learning how to be peaceful protesters, how not to use their fists to fight back. And then they clammed into the bus to go to the amusement park. They brought signs and banners that declared their message of fairness of all. When the protesters reached the park, a crowd of angry faces greeted them, people who didn't want the park to change. They shouted insults at the protesters. The protesters just held their signs high and sang freedom songs. We shall overcome. The civil rights anthem filled the air, said Daddy. But when they tried to go into the park to buy tickets, blacks and whites together, the park owner had the protesters arrested, said Mama. And so they did what they had been taught to do, to protest peacefully. Some sat down on the ground and refused to move. Police officers had to carry them to the buses to take them to the police station. Mama and Daddy explained that almost 300 protesters were arrested that day. Some paid a fine and could go home, but half refused to pay their fines. They chose to spend the night in jail instead. And when they went home the next day, they began planning another protest for 2 days later on July the 7th. Kids help too, Mama said. A newspaper reported even asking 11-year-old Lydia Finney and her aunt Mabel Grant to go on a secret protest at the park. They both had light color skin, and he thought he thought at the park that they were both light color skins that let me see he thought he let me see he sorry you guys, I lost my part. He thought the park tickets taker might not know that they were black. On the morning of the second protest, Lydia and her aunt walked into the ticket booth. They brought tickets and walked right in. They could have been arrested if anyone found out who they were, but nobody noticed. They stayed for 2 hours and went on some rides, including the carousel. And when they left, the protesters weren't there yet, but the reporter was. He interviewed them and wrote about their visit to show what a mistake it is to judge people by the color of their skin. And when the protesters arrived for the second protest, police arrested nearly 100 protesters, blacks and whites, who tried to enter the park together. Among the youngest taken to the police station were 3-year-old white boys who joined the protest with their parents, Tom, John, and Steve Coleman. Photos of those boys and their parents being arrested and put in a police car appeared in the newspapers the next day. Those photos shocked many people, said Mama. Arresting a family for trying to ride a carousel? Ridiculous, I said. Exactly, said Mama. The story about the protester in newspapers and on the television made more people decide that segregation had to go. So many people spoke out against the park that its owner saw that they had to change. The park's owner agreed to let everyone come to the park, no matter the color, no matter the skin color. All arrest Arrest charges against the protester were dropped too. The first day, Gwen Oak Park Amusement Park was open to all was August the 28th, 1963, 1 month before my first birthday. Mama told me that at first she was afraid to take me to the park. Would we be safe? Would we be arrested? But she and Daddy decided that it was important for us to be there that first day as a family. On August the 28th, 1963, we were the first African American family to walk into Gwen Oak Amusement Park when it was open to all. No angry faces greeted us, only smiling news reporters and photographers who rushed around us. Daddy said he marched me straight over to the carousel. He helped me into a he helped me into a big smiling horse. He put his arms around me and held my hand so I wouldn't be afraid. Mama stood nearby waving. Photographers jumped into the ride with us. They took photographs of Daddy and me because I was the first African American child to go on a ride that day. Before the carousel started turning, white kids clammed onto the horse beside me. They were big kids and could probably ride by themselves. But one girl's mother asked Daddy to keep an eye on her daughter to make sure she didn't fall off her horse. Daddy was glad to help. He kept watch on all us kids, keeping us all safe. The next day, newspapers had stories about my carousel ride. There was my name, Sharon Langley, right in the newspaper. There were photographs of Daddy and me and of the other kids riding with me. It had been a big new day for everyone who was at the amusement park. August the 28th was also an important day for a man who was trying to end unfair rules everywhere, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And on that very day, Dr. King was at a huge protest in Washington, the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Hundreds of thousands of people joined him to call for an end to segregation everywhere. And Dr. King told the crowd about his hopes and dreams that one day black children and white children would live together peacefully in this country, treating each other as brothers and sisters. My carousel ride showed that Dr. King's dream was starting to come true. That was a long time ago. The amusement park isn't there anymore. A big storm destroyed many of the rides, and Glen Oak Amusement Park had to close. Now it's a park where families have picnics on sunny afternoons and where neighborhood kids play ball. On its green, grassy field stands a sign to help people remember those who took a stand for justice there. The carousel came through the storm just fine and was moved to Washington, D.C. on the National Mall. It's fitting that it should be there near the monument that stands for freedom, not far from the Lincoln Memorial where Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood to give his famous speech during the March on Washington. My name, Sharon Langley, was put on one horse saddle and on one of the horse's shoe too. A sign on the carousel fence tells about my ride to remember on that sunny day, August, on that sunny August day, so long ago. Today, big kids, little kids, young kids, old kids, no matter the color of their skin, can ride on any carousel, going round and round on horses painted all the colors of the rainbow. Nobody first, nobody last. Everyone equal, having fun together. Love the book. Yes, it's a wonderful book. Do your research, and I just want to show you this last page. Oh, I love history, you guys. I love history so much. If you choose to purchase this book, it have a picture of her dad and her, and then it's a picture of her. She's still living, and what the park looked like. Uh, well, before it got shut down, and then it has so much information in here that will help you know our history of this beautiful story, A Ride to Remember. I had a wonderful time with you guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you on next Monday. Bye bye.